Welcome back to Nerdrotic Live. And this is the pre-Game of Thrones slow, disappointing fall of destruction of a once great television show. But let's be frank, that's been happening for a while. Now, if you just joined me here and haven't heard any of my reviews, I was not happy with last week's episode. Not with the reason the Night King died or how he died, Arya Stark doing the deed. It's the when and the why. Well, there was no why. It was the when. It was done in one episode. It was rushed through. It was completely anticlimactic. It completely ruined a bunch of character stories. A couple of characters aren't even acting like themselves anymore, and they've fallen back like the Hound. And I've gone over it ad infinitum. But I would like to go to a really good book to kind of really over explain anticlimactic. And we're going to go to our Lord and Savior, Douglas Adams, from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And we're going to talk about careless talk. And just follow me on this one. It was, of course, well known that careless talk costs lives. But the full scale of the problem is not always appreciated. For instance, a human named Arthur Dent, who, because of a Vogog constructor fleet, was one of the last two humans in the universe at the time, once said, I seem to be having tremendous difficulty with my lifestyle. At that very moment that Arthur said this, a freak wormhole opened up in the fabric of the time-space continuum and carried his words far back in time across almost infinite reaches of space to a distant galaxy where strange and warlike beings were poised on the brink of frightful interstellar battle. The two opposing leaders were meeting for the last time. A dreadful silence fell across the conference table as the commander of the Valhergs, resplendent in his black jeweled battle shorts, gazed levelly at the Gogolvan leader squatting opposite of him in a cloud of green, sweet-smelling steam. And with a million sleek and horrible beweaponed star cruisers poised to unleash electric death at his single word of command, challenged the vile creature to take back what he said about his mother. The creature stirred in his sickly broiling vapor, and at that very moment, the words, I seem to be having a tremendous difficulty with my lifestyle, drifted across the conference table. Unfortunately, in the Vlaherg tongue, this was the most dreadful insult imaginable, and there was nothing for it but to wage terrible war for centuries. Eventually, of course, after the galaxy had been decimated over a few thousand years, it was realized that the whole thing had been a ghastly mistake. And so the two opposing battle fleets settled their few remaining differences in order to launch a joint attack on our galaxy, now positively identified as the source of the offending remark. For thousands more years, the mighty ships tore across the empty wastes of space and finally dived screaming onto the first planet they came across, which just so happened to be the Earth, where, due to a terrible miscalculation of scale, the entire battle fleet was accidentally swallowed by a small dog. That's what Game of Thrones Season 8 is. It just got swallowed by a small dog. I just thought I'd bring that to you from a great book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Thanks for indulging me with that. That is one of my favorite. For one, the movie butchered that completely. So I'm glad I was able to share that with you. That is Game of Thrones in a nutshell, told to us by the greatest writer known to man, women, and all beasts across the universe, Douglas Adams, and even small furry creatures from Alpha Centauri and super intelligent shades of the color blue. Hello, everyone. Chuck Nasty, Dr. Meatball, Anno Virgie, Mikey, Mark Glazerth, and your wrench. Please be ready for spoilers. I know the episode leaked. Please don't spoil the episode. Please. Because your comment will be deleted very quickly. And I don't want that to happen. And honestly, it won't stop the stream. It won't ruin anything. It won't make your anonymous name seem cooler. So it's just pointless. So Game of Thrones or HBO security sucks. The second episode leaked or third of this year. Sorry, I got like something in my eye. Excuse me. I just trimmed my beard, so it's probably like a beard hair or something. We had last week, and I could give two craps about this show as it's going out, and it's become mindlessly predictable in its subversion of expectation. And if I truly wanted to spoil the whole damn show for you, I am keen to guess what's going to happen, and I won't probably be far from being wrong. But you guys can, theorize away. But apparently our theories are stupid as fans, because fan theorizing is the reason YouTube channels exist and website exists and Reddit exists. But for some reason, one creator, Rian Johnson, and Dan and Dave decided to invoke their inner Rian Johnson and decided to subvert expectations. Now, before I get to the chat, there is the act of an ending and an actual ending, and I might be stating the obvious here, but I keep getting pelted with, this is how George is going to end the books. This is how George writes. He subverts expectations. He's going to subvert the tropes of tokenism. I understand that. The problem is you're cramming basically 2 books of information into 6 episodes, and you wasted time in the first 2. So essentially it's 2 or 3 episodes. They're putting 2 books of information and they're just putting in the ending. We have no idea how we're going to get to these endings. Arya killing the Night King at the end of Winds of Winter after reading 1,000 pages probably makes a lot of sense and probably is going to be great if that's what happens. I'm betting it doesn't. That's just me. I'm betting it doesn't. My prediction for the books is Arya doesn't even reunite with her family. It just seems too obvious. And every time something seems too obvious, George does subvert. But George still wants the reader to be satisfied at the end. That's why he has been taking his time with the ending, because he hasn't found one yet that he's happy with. If he had, he would have known how to get there. Of course, we're still in the mirror and he's not. There's a lot of characters who are in the show who aren't in the book. There's some characters who are still alive that are dead in the show. So there's no effing the Hound shouldn't even be there. The Hound is gone. So in the books, we suspect we know where he is, but we don't know where he is right now. Yeah, Barrick, everything else. So, I've had a lot of live streams on this. I was fortunate enough to be on a live stream with Rags and Mahler on Geeks and Gamers, and that one's still up. It's long, but it's worth it. It was pretty much a really in detail breakdown of why we were all dissatisfied. And then we had a couple people who liked the episode. We had Anna for that Star Wars girl. And we had Cecil. So yeah, really didn't like the episode. I don't care about the throne. I don't care, who's going to subvert who. And no, I still don't think Cersei is the big bad at all. There's no way a pregnant wine drinking queen with a zombie can be the big bad at the end. So it looks like to me that they're going to have a betrayal, and we'll get basically 2 big bads with 3 episodes left. And that is just so bad, for lack of a better term. I mean, it's just bad. They should have started this last season. They should have gone with 10 seasons. I firmly blame HBO on this one. It sounds like they wanted to cut the budget and just get rid of this show so they can start doing their own shows, so they won't be beholden to George's will. So they can make Game of Thrones stuff without George's input or, his major input. George isn't going to have a lot to do with the spinoffs. And don't look for the spinoffs to be anything like Game of Thrones, because they're not based on any books with any of his dialogue, and it's just going to be a poor imitation, and that might be great for some people. I honestly don't want to waste my time on a prequel that's going to give me a background on a Night King I don't care about. And yes, I know I've spent the week on Reddit, so I know all the theories, and there's one that actually could happen that I absolutely believe that's still mystical and has something to do with a Night King, maybe not a king necessarily. And that could certainly happen at the end, and it would still be dumb. Now, I just think that they completely blew it in execution. I don't know how many times I could say this. And there's, I think by the end of the season, there'll be a lot more people dissatisfied than satisfied. Even not Macy Williams, who plays Sansa Stark. I can't remember her name, but she said the people are going to be very disappointed with the ending. She said it. So there's disappointing, and there, like the Red Wedding was disappointing, but it was like narratively perfect. It was like great. I mean, it was a horror to watch, but it was great. It was well done. The Vipers ending was horrifying and really well done. The more I think about it here, everything about Euron Greyjoy is wrong. And that is the fundamental problem with this book. So I'm going to use another book, and some of you might not like this, but I ended up reading them all with my kids and stuff, and I ended up enjoying it. Now, the author is nuts, J.K. Rowling. But in the Harry Potter movies, they decided to leave out the house elves till the very end, which turned out to hurt the films quite a bit because the house elves ended up playing a major part in the story. And JK even told the producers of the film, it's like, you might not want to take that one out. But they did it anyway, and it really lost all impact. That's what's going on here. Euron Greyjoy is one of the best characters in the book. And I'll probably end up explaining this on my review, but let me get to the whole Iron Islands thing is fantastic in the books. But let's get to the chat. This is all about you. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit too much here. Could you tell I was ready for this one? I was ready. What's up, Mark Lazurth? Mike, okay, let's start with the chat. We already have been screaming no spoilers for a while. Nefarious Fuel, thank you. I do appreciate this. Spoiler, there will be a big funeral, right? I mean, you can, funny spoilers are okay, are totally okay. Like Bronn sitting on the throne, or, oh man, did I delete that picture? I hope I didn't. Hang on. I'm going to show you who should be sitting on the throne. Well, if I still have the picture, I got to find it. It'd probably be easier for me to Google it. Yeah, it'd be easier for me to Google it. Just a moment. I'm sure you have all seen this picture before, but this is the only satisfying ending that I will accept. Frankenfurter should be sitting on the throne. You want to talk about a movie that subverts expectations? That's who belongs on the throne. Oh, Rocky. Oh, Bullwinkle. Sorry. Yeah, that's who should be sitting on the throne. Yes, there will be a big funeral for, well, there already is for Game of Thrones. Rada Bagada says, I love Douglas Adams. I read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy every year. I read chapters every other month. I just pick up the book and I start reading a little bit. I've got my first printing signed by Douglas Adams right here, right next to my first printing of Game of Thrones. By the way, I have I don't have a store, but I have an eBay profile. It's Nerdrotic. The only thing on it right now is a Spider-Man variant comic book cover. If anybody's interested in some very cheap Blu-rays, Game of Thrones season 1 through 7, along with, I'm going to throw in some just rando collectibles with it as well. I'm going to sell it as one big package, and it'll be pretty cheap. And it does include season 1 that they pulled because I don't know if you guys remember when Sansa was forced by Joffrey to look at the severed heads. One of those severed heads was George Bush's head, and they got in a little trouble for that. So they made him pull season 1, or is it season 2? Season 1. It was season 1, but it had been a while. So I mean, there's a lot of them out there. Well, I have the one with that in there. Not that it's worth any money or anything like that. I think you can get season 1. I saw season 1 Blu-ray for $11 on Amazon. So yeah, I'm going to just sell them as a lot, and yeah, I'll put it up as an auction. If it sells for 50 cents, I'm fine with that. That means I'm, cause it makes room for more stuff I'll be actually interested in, because I'm never watching the show again. Once I'm done with these next 3 episodes, chapter closed, not wasting a single moment. Don't care how this ends. I have a feeling I know how this ends, and I'll just say the rest of you will probably be pissed off. And that's not a satisfying ending. When everybody comes out and the shill media comes out and says, well, you just didn't understand it because you're not smart enough, or you just weren't paying attention because it's not supposed to have a happy ending. Nobody's expecting a happy ending. We're not. I think if they had Jon and Dany sitting on the thrones, petting their little dragons, and then the dragons have a baby, and Jon and Dany have a baby, and then the Hound and his brother have a baby, and freaking Gendry and Arya have a baby, we'd be pissed. Theon comes back to life and his wiener grew back, stuff. Yeah, we don't expect that from Game of Thrones. Okay. But we expect something, uh, like I fully expect, I don't know Jack on this one, but this is what I've always expected from the books. I could be totally wrong on this, but Daenerys was reborn in fire. Okay, when she did her pyre at the end of season 1 and her dragons, she was reborn in fire. Well, we need somebody to be reborn in ice. Well, Jon currently in the books is bleeding to death in front of the wall, and they're going to shove him in an ice cell or something. And I think, obviously Jon will be the ice. His parentage has something to do with it. But I've always loved the idea that the Night King and the others are something there was a pact with, and something broke the pact and got that, something had to wake them up after thousands of years. And maybe he has to go off and be the Night King. Maybe he has to go and, do that Jon Snow thing and be, do the honorable thing and sacrifice himself and, go off and be the Night King or negotiate with him, something like that. I don't know the details. I'm not a big theory person, but that's kind of where I think they might be going. I don't know. I could be completely wrong on that one. So, but the show can't do it. I mean, if the show does, well, I'm sure the show could do it in 5 minutes, like they've done everything else. So I should probably take that back. The TV show is showing him not to take this path. Kaz Walker, you should record a prediction of how the rest of the season will play out and then release it after the finale. It'd be fun to see how close you get. I could, all right. I could do bits and pieces during these pre-games and I'll just put them together. That's a great idea. Thanks. Okay. Prediction for this episode. Give me a minute on that one. I got to think. I'm going to think on that one. The Hound is the Gravedigger. He is. The Hound is the Gravedigger. Now, whether the Hound comes back or not, we're not sure. Nicholas Horton, that's a very good super chat there. Thank you. I'm going to, by the end of this, before the show starts, I'll have a prediction for tonight's show, and then I'll do a couple for the end. I can do the prediction for the end right now. I can tell you right now, 100%, two things. The Night King's not coming back. He's dead. He's gone. There will be no more White Walkers, even though Dan and Dave were kind of coy on that one. They might do something weird at the end. And I think that Cersei is definitely not the big bad. And she will not die by Tyrion or Jaime's hand. Because if you look at the show, everybody's been talking about that and the prophecy, but they only did the first half of the prophecy in the show. They didn't do the Voluncar prophecy at the end. I often get stuff mixed up from the show and the books, but they did not do the second half of the prophecy, so she will probably die in Jaime's arms or some stupid shit like that. Now, for sure, they're going to probably kill another dragon. I don't know when. I imagine fifth episode. We'll say fifth episode. And that'll just make me lose my goddamn mind. And they're treating the dragons like they're treating the direwolves. And, Nicholas Horton, hi, checked out this Game of Thrones article. Check out this Game of Thrones article on Express UK. I will after the live stream or you show through. You can here. I'll search it up. What's the title of it? And I can search it up. If you guys want to ask me a question without a super chat, of course, hit @Nerdrotic Live. I can't wait for the political exposition in tonight's episode. The whole episode is going to be filler. 2 of the last 3 episodes filler. Unreal. I think something's going to happen in this episode because it's extra long, but I think it's not till the end, probably. I don't know. I don't know. I had an opportunity to watch the episode today. It didn't leak everywhere, but I did not. I refused. I mean, I pay for HBO. I don't pirate. I don't sail the high seas. So no thanks. Yeah. Sir Pounce will sit on the throne. Yes, of course, Sir Pounce. If it's Braun, I told you that's the only way I will say, okay. If Braun is sitting on the throne, okay. Euron will show up with dumb dragon control horn. Yeah, he'll just find it somewhere, probably. Oh God. Should I go into this? Okay, real quick. This is the fundamental difference between show and book. And I'll describe it in one character. Euron Greyjoy. Euron Greyjoy in the show is a 70s rock star, sex addicted rock star. Lame, just completely lame. The Euron in the book is a sorcerer pirate who is a sexual deviant who diddled Asha, who was Yara in the show, and Theon when they were younger, we suspect, definitely diddled his younger brother, who was possibly both of them. One of them is not in the show, and the other one's been shown but not named, and that's the Damphair. That's the guy who was the priest. That was supposed to be one of Theon's uncles too. And he was banished for forcing himself on Victarion, his brother's wife, causing Victarion to kill his wife. So Balon Greyjoy, who was Theon's dad, banished him from the Iron Islands forever. He sailed the seas of Planetos. He went to Valeria when nobody else would go there. He came back with a Valerian steel suit of armor, and he kidnapped a bunch of religious people, like from different religions. He's a practicer of blood magic, and it is theorized he's trying to call krakens from the deep by sacrificing religious figures to the drowned god or to the many-faced god, possibly. We're not sure. So he's a sorcerer, child diddling evil pirate who's unbelievably bad and kind of funny in the books too. He always says the right thing. He always gets people to do his dirty work for him. He's on a ship called the Silence. They referred to it in the show. All of his crew are mutes. He rips all their tongues out. They're all thralls. And you got to understand the Iron Islands. They have these slaves called thralls. But if you work long enough, if you row long enough, you can actually earn your freedom from them. And they also have salt wives and rock wives. So the rock wife is the one who's at home, and the salt wife is the lady they take on the boat with them. Yeah, and they're a culture of Viking pirate warriors, and they go reaving and plunder, and paying the iron price is how basically you take what you want. It's called paying the iron price. You don't pay for it with gold. Come on. So it's a whole culture built on that. It's brilliant. It's really well done. So I'm certain he's going to meet with Cersei in the books at some point, but it's just the way it's done in the show is so basic and lame, and it's like it's written by frat boys. It really is. What is your opinion about Jon writing Rhaegal without having a real bonding moment with him? That's lame. George will probably dedicate 3 chapters to that in the book. I mean, this is a guy, when he opens up a scene, will paint a picture of, like, there's 2 birds. I remember one scene, he's got Sam going into Old Town, and he describes seagulls perched on an old Targaryen king. You know, one is perched on his sword and the other one is perched on his head. And he just, yeah, I mean, like, he gets that in the detail. So yeah, it was a cool little flying scene, but we lost so many emotional scenes. The reunion between Arya and Jon should have had everybody in freaking tears. And no, the only good reunion was Sansa and Jon. That was a very good reunion. Very well done. But for people who have sacrificed story for visuals and for cheap emotional moments. They're not even doing that anymore. They are getting this over with so they can go work on Star Wars and count their money. And HBO, more than Dan and Dave, HBO should be held accountable for letting all their fans down, for getting cheap at the end, for not paying off what deserved to be paid off. And people should, I'm going to cancel my subscription. I don't want to watch stupid Watchmen. Who cares? I mean, that Watchmen looks dumb as hell. And I don't care about a prequel. I just don't. I don't. I feel so burned by this. And I was talking to Mahler about this yesterday. I was over Game of Thrones after season 7. I was kind of like, man, it's just gotten lame. But I took 2 years off, and then I saw The Long Night, and I guess I think I was more into it than I thought I was, because it bothered the living shit out of me. I was like, I don't know why this is bothering me so much, but I'm a nerd, and it bothered me. And that sinking feeling you have in your stomach is you spending a bunch of time with something that really sold you out. Fucking completely sold you out. They'll lap up anything. I promise you. In the meetings, this show was expensive enough anyway. It was bursting at the seams with money, and the producers were in there going, no more, no more. And we don't need that scene. We don't need to show Ghost anymore. Yes, Ghost should have been battling whites. Yes, this should have been the most expensive, without a doubt, the most expensive show ever on television. And I mean, for years. And if they would have done that, they would have gotten good closure. They would have gotten a good resolution. They would have had people watching this show over and over and over again, because it's slow in the beginning. It is definitely slow, but it always had that promise of building up to something, because when it paid something off, even though it wasn't what we expected, it was pretty damn cool. In those first 4 seasons. I mean, without a doubt, it was pretty damn cool. At the end of season 2, when the walkers come and the 3 blasts, that was effing amazing. That was so freaking well done. And wow, they sucked. They completely sucked at the end, and it just killed it. It ruined it. And they want to sell Night. So HBO's selling Night King action figures everywhere. Night King's face on everything. He wasn't the villain. It was a budget decision as much as a subversion of expectations. I promise you that. I want to see the Zombie Mountain on the throne and really and be a really good king, right? Quit Jolly Roger. Yeah, he just doesn't say anything, and he's like the best king ever. The ending of Game of Thrones will have George R. R. Martin on the toilet, like back in the future, flux capacitor moment, right? Then Tyrion will shoot him on the privy. Let me get to some super chats here. Oh, god dang. Okay. Thank you, Kaz Walker. So yeah, my prediction, this is just one of them, and I'll do a compilation. So another dragon will die by episode 5. Cersei will not be the big bad. She will die with Jaime, because for the show that subverts expectations, they do some really basic stuff sometimes. Ghost will die. They'll kill Ghost in like a really dumb way. Yes. I'm trying to think of what else. There will be a Clegane Bowl, and they'll end up both dying. Arya and Sansa will survive. Although I really like Cecil's idea of the House of Black and White coming to take her out, because she went, she basically left them, and she's not supposed to be killing unless they get the payment. She can't give the gift without payment. So that would make sense. But I think she'll live. I don't, honestly, because it's 2019, I'm not going to lie to you. Very few women are going to die. No, I'll take that back. Because I think Cersei will die. Yeah, I think some women will die, but I don't think they're going to kill Sansa. They've been setting up Sansa. I got to see one more episode before I have my Sansa prediction. Ah, fuck it. I think there's a possibility that she's either Queen of the North. She's going to be a queen, whether the North or King's Landing. I don't know yet. I'll let you know after this episode, but she is definitely going to be a queen, 100%. Hi, Gary. After much mulling, I have come to the conclusion you're right. Episode 3 is a turd, and a dark one at that. Maybe the new throne should be a toilet. Justin Doyle, 5 pounds. Thank you. Yeah, it should be a toilet. It's interesting that you say that. I've done that with films. It's a Phantom Menace is a great example of a film I walked out of the theater totally convinced I absolutely loved, and then I realized it was bad. Now, I still have a soft spot in my heart for the prequels a little bit. I don't watch them again. They're just not good enough to rewatch. If I would rewatch anything, it'll be scenes from Revenge of the Sith. But after watching the new Star Wars sequels, I have a new appreciation of the prequels. They're still not good, but they're not unwatchable like the new ones. This is unwatchable. Like I watched the episode one more time and I'm never going to watch it again. It was just, my feelings didn't change on it. It was poor. It was very bad. And it was funny how like the down votes on Doomcocks and my reaction were way the hell down Sunday and Monday. And then they started going up. The upvotes started going up as the week progressed. So I think Doomcock termed it hypnosis. And yeah, and like, that's not a judgment on anybody. I am probably more guilty than most of hypnosis. I will get hyped by something, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just worn down after 2017, 2018 with Marvel Comics, Doctor Who, Star Trek, Star Wars, Westworld Season 2. Nicholas Horton, $5. Article title: White Walker to return as creators drop troubling hint. They were very cryptic. That was on Jimmy Kimmel Live, Nicholas Horton, and they were asked directly by Jimmy Kimmel, have we seen the last of the White Walkers? And their answer was, I'm not going to answer that. They're not coming back. And if they do, man, they will have really surprised me. But unfortunately, Dan and Dave have become, I'm pretty confident in their predictability. I want to remind everybody, these are the people who dispatched Littlefinger the way they did, who have done nothing with Varys. You notice all the smart characters have gotten incredibly dumb lately. It's because the writers don't know how to write them. Say what you want about George. He's wicked smart, that guy. Wicked smart. And Dan and Dave are talented. I mean, they're talented enough to get to Hollywood. They were good at adapting the work. But honestly, Dave Benioff wrote Wolverine Origins. Enough said. For every single fan out there, I wish they would, Nicholas. I do, but just do not get your hopes up. They're not. If anything happens at the end, it'll be okay. I'll just say it right here: the Night Queen theory. There's a Night Queen theory out there that Daenerys becomes the Night Queen. Look it up. That could happen. I don't know how, but it could. That's kind of the White Walkers coming back. And I will answer that with this. You just created somebody else who could get stabbed really quickly by a little girl flying out of the sky. So not really threatening anymore. And it's a real cheap way to bring him back. And I equate it to this. I've done it in my video. Imagine at the end of Avengers Endgame, when we were all expecting all the heroes to come back, right? We were all expecting this. Just because your audience is expecting something doesn't mean you shouldn't deliver, okay? Or shouldn't deliver it exactly how they expected. I fully expected all the heroes to take on Thanos and some form of army at the end. I don't know how they got there, but I fully expected it, and I got it, and I was very happy with it, except for one little cringe moment. Imagine if the Russo brothers went, I know everybody expects Cap to battle Thanos at the end and have a fight, but it just didn't seem right. So we got Okoye to come out and she puts on the Infinity Gauntlet and spanks Thanos to death. People would lose their effing minds. It would ruin the legacy of the MCU. The Blu-rays would stop selling. Of course, there would be a large portion of the fans going, you don't read the comics and you don't understand that it's completely different from the comics. And even though Nebula in the comic books had the Infinity Gauntlet, so Okoye took over Nebula's job, and the spanking was spanking the patriarchy. And, you're just a misogynist and you don't understand comics anymore. So there have been a large portion of the fans saying that, and the other ones going, that sucked. Anybody want to buy, phase 1 Blu-ray collection? That's what would have happened. So that's what happened in Game of Thrones. It's all coming back to me now. God damn it. Matthias Hernandio for $10. Matthias, apologies. They are making buckets of money on this show. Why go cheap now? Right? And why cut down on remaining seasons? Right? This is the main only reason to have HBO subscription. Don't care about a prequel now, right? Silicon Valley just got rid of its best character because of Me Too. I'm forgetting his name, but the funny guy. And so, I mean, like, that would be the only reason I watch. I'm not going to watch that. Well, I might hate watch the Watchmen stuff. I might. But I will not be wasting my time on an HBO Game of Thrones prequel. Hand to heart on that one. Nope. I'm not giving up on the books. I'm going to still read the books. But I know it sounds like I'm being a big baby, but honestly, I just need the room. I'm getting rid of all of my Game of Thrones merchandise related to the show. Going to get rid of it for cheap because I got a bunch of Doctor Who stuff that I could dust off and bring up here and take its place. Yeah, Matthias, it's a great question. They would have just made more money. They got cheap at the end. I think it had something to do with the AT&T buyout. I actually do think that factored in to it a little bit. We waited 2 years for this. If you wait 2 years, you give them, if they would have done 10 episode seasons, problem solved. Chris Persia, Canadian $5. Why was the Night King's demise just as lackluster as Snoke's? Did Dan and Dave borrow from Rianne Roundhead? Yes. I don't think it's a coincidence. It's too much of a coincidence that Arya does the same move that she foreshadowed prior to Last Jedi. I understand that, but there's the same move within that, and then the same thing happens. I'll tell you why that happened. I'll tell you exactly why that happened. Something similar will probably go down in the book, like I said, but it'll be built up. John will probably fight or face off or do something that will satisfy us that's not on dragons. I just don't see John on a dragon fighting the Night King. Okay, I just don't. Mind you, there's no Night King in the books. So just John fighting an other would be fine. And they're called the Others. And they're much different. Actually scarier, but like more eloquent and beautiful. So yes, there's too many coincidences with that. And it was lackluster because they lack talent. It's been staring me right in the face for a long time. And I didn't really come to terms with it till season 7. Shit, Mahler was onto it way before I was. At the end of season 4, there was a ton of people who dipped out at season 4 and 5 and were telling me it sucked. I'm all, no, I was defending the show. I was defending the show through season 6. I thought, I still like season 6. I'd still like, but if you take away Battle of the Bastards, I'm not sure I can remember much of what happened. But yeah, season 7, if you watch my reviews, not many people did. I wasn't liking it. I tried, but I wasn't liking it. And it's been staring us in the face. And I've done a couple videos on it. George is distancing himself, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if the book has been done for years. He just didn't want them touching a piece of it, and who could blame him? I am completely on George's side now. After seeing this, I'm sure he was getting notes of the show. I was like, oh, okay, George, I understand now. I'm sorry if I was critical of you. Sorry. I still don't think he's going to finish the book. Don't get me wrong, but have you read Lure of the Basilisk? Basilisk or Basilic? And how does the Night King compare with the Yellow King? Oh, I haven't. I only know about it, Peter Davison, from True Detective, to be honest with you. And I've heard those comparisons. I've heard, but I only know a little bit of that story because of True Detective #1 or season 1, #1 comic book fan here. Sorry. But I'll look into that, Peter. That's a great, say hi to your mom for me. Thank you for the Australian $5. Alentian, Sansa had a complete character change post season 5. Thank you. I'm going to say something kind of harsh here. So I want to prepare. So I usually don't refer to women like the word I'm going to use. I just don't. Respect thing. Okay. But I'm going to use the B word. Sansa is a cold biatch. Arya is a cold biatch. Daenerys, for the most part, has become a cold biatch. Cersei is a cold biatch. They're all the same character. And it is because it is since 2016, and this happened before Harvey, by the way, there's been a sea change in how they write women in Hollywood. They are the male writers are afraid to write them with any complexity because they are afraid to get called out on Twitter or by the Anita Sarkeesians of the world or the Mary Sue. Go Google the Mary Sue giving up. The Mary Sue doesn't cover Game of Thrones anymore, and it was after season 5 with the Sansa assault scene by Ramsay that was never shown. By the way, we are doing fantasy based on a feudalistic society. That shit happened, and I will fight for that stuff to be kept in the fiction because, for one, it's good to see how ugly it is, so you don't really want to do it. To not hearing about it is not good. We need to keep it in fiction. It's through fiction in our mythology we learn lessons. So after that scene, the Mary Sue had completely given up on Game of Thrones. They got a lot of criticism. Look at the criticism they got about the Dothraki and the immigration thing. So they listened to that. They're more worried about looking politically correct, looking woke, having that social currency, and they don't give rat shit about what we think, what the fans who buy this stuff and actually watch this stuff. Most of the people who complain about this stuff don't even watch the effing show. I just did a video on Captain Marvel, and the writer of the article was talking about wanting more women and more Captain Marvel in the Avengers. But the writer of the article started out by saying, well, I never watched Captain Marvel. Yeah. So they pay attention in the access shill media, poser media. There's a lot of political writers who can't get work, who are working in entertainment right now, by the way. Look at the backgrounds of a lot of people. Look at the backgrounds of the writers of Doctor Who, political playwrights. Look at Sana Amanad, who was like pretty high up at Marvel Comics. Prior to working in comics, working in politics. It's happening all over the place. Look at the people's backgrounds for all these new people who don't know anything about science fiction, but they do happen to know a lot about politics. Kind of funny how that's happening. So I digress. They don't write any of the women with complexity anymore. And George had very complex, strong female characters. Brienne, for the most part, hasn't done anything. And she's one of the best characters. She should be a feminist fucking symbol. She is strong. She beat the fucking Hound. And they haven't done anything with her. She's just protecting Sansa. Sansa, her arc would lead to her being calculating, but she had a personality. Arya had a personality. Cersei had a personality. Not anymore. Great super chat. Good point. Peter Ruan for a $1 donation. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Sean C. Am I saying that right? Peter Ruan. Thank you for the £1. I'm sorry. Sean C. $2. Watch Preston Jacobs to really see how long Game of Thrones has sunk. Oh, I've been watching Preston for years, Sean. Yeah, I've been watching Preston Jacobs for years. And I'll tell you what, I always thought he was hard on the show. So I generally didn't watch his show videos as early, but I watched all of his book videos. I like his theories. They're out there. He thinks everybody's psychically linked. But no, he's good. He's really good. I mean, he knows the books in and out, and he's read all of. At least it seems like he's read all of George's other stuff, which I have not. So it's very interesting. He gets into the Thousand Worlds universe, which is all of George's other books, and they all supposedly stay. I don't know this for a fact. They might take place in the same universe. I'm not sure. I think he's the one who came up with the theory that the Westeros and Planetos is basically there was an advanced civilization that died or something, and this is the whole, it's basically civilization restarting again after, I mean, a really advanced, like, science fiction civilization, and there's hints of that. I don't want to get into it now, but that there's hints that that's possible. Matthias Hernandino, $2. We can look forward D&D trashing Star Wars trilogy. Oh, I can't wait. Yeah. I mean, they'll probably have a bunch of Jedis not using the Force. We'll say hello to Mother. Parcel sent, remember. Thank you, Peter Davidson. I do remember. Thank you for the Australian $5. I will be checking my P.O. box. Brother Malachi, $5. Are you and Doomcock doing Exozone or anything else similar to that? We are doing Exozone tonight. Yeah, as far we're doing it every Sunday now. I don't we won't be going 5 hours. I'll only be able to go 2 hours tonight, but we'll be doing Exozone every Sunday. But it'll be after we talk about Game of Thrones. Currently it's 5:20. We got plenty of time until the episode. I'm going to get back to the chat after this. I will go up until 5 minutes to 6. All right. Mr. Chuck Nasty, $5. I wish I could be a writer or create something because I wouldn't give a shit of what people thought. I just want a good story. Is that too much to ask for? No, it's not. And that's what I said in my last Game of Thrones videos. I think we might get a rise of independent creators because people are just so dissatisfied with storytelling. Hollywood does not want to tell the hero's journey anymore. They don't want to have big male bad guys anymore. And I'm sorry to tell you the reason why, but this is the reason why. If people don't want to believe me, that's fine. But you got to understand, I don't come at this with, I don't like women. I don't like strong women. I don't want women in charge. Again, I will inform everybody. My wife makes a lot more money than I do and always has and always will. I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. I am married to a warrior woman. So no, never had a problem with that whatsoever. But I know bullshit when I see it. And what's happening now is a complete overcorrection due to the times, due to the Me Too that spawned the Time's Up. Time's Up, what does it mean? Exactly what it says it means. It's time's up for men. It's time for more women to be in charge, and that's fine. But some men, in order to keep their job, are desperate to overcompensate, aren't they? They're writing scripts like they're all guilty of something. Probably because they are, in my opinion. They're all writing scripts like they have skeletons in the closet or they're being blackmailed. Freaking Stephen Moffat. Stephen Moffat guys and gals, did you notice he doesn't write anything like he used to? Like nothing like he used to. What changed? Kevin Feige, it seems like Brie Larson has pictures of that guy somewhere doing something horrible. I don't know. But the writing has changed. The best example, there's two great examples. Westworld season 1 to season 2 and Iron Fist season 1 to season 2. And of course there's The Last Jedi. Of course there is Star Trek Discovery. And it's not the fact that it's not the cast, really. It's the writing. And of course, there's Doctor Who, which is a particular bee in my bonnet. And I still get hurled insults. I'm an istophobe and whatever. I'm okay, fine. In the meantime, when you put something ahead of story, I'll equate it to sobriety. So I'm a grateful recovering addict, and one of the first things that I have to get into my head every day when I wake up in the morning, that my sobriety comes first, before my family, before my kids, before my wife, before everything. for my mom, before my dog. The first thing, my first priority every day, all the time, is my sobriety. Because if I don't have that, I don't have anything else. So your first priority with good storytelling is to tell a good story. That should be your first priority. There should be nothing in front of that. There should be, oh, I feel like I gotta cast this, I gotta cast that. A good storyteller will insert that stuff anyway. Game of Thrones, even though it's based on a feudalistic society that's generally European, George has put diverse things into it. There's other parts of the world, there's Daenerys Targaryen, there's Sansa, there's Cersei. They're already there. There's Brienne. I mean, these are George 20 years ago. So, I mean, it's not anything new, really. The only thing new is we don't want to write them with complexity. That's another reason I think George probably stopped writing the book. He's going to get criticized if he writes a rape scene. He's going to get criticized if he kills any of his female characters. If they kill, and they probably will, if they kill any of the female characters, dude, start the countdown clock to the Mary Sue article and the IO9 article and Dave and Dan hate women. Blah, blah, blah. It's going to happen. There's a prediction right there. Quote me on that one. They'll kill a female character and it will just trigger people. It will. Mr. Chuck Nasty, I wish, I already read that, but thank you again, Mr. Chuck Nasty. Catherine Greer, $5. Found your channel after last night debacle. After the last night debacle. Thank you so much for getting me through it. So insightful. Do you meet fans at events? Catherine, I do. I look at you guys as we're fellow fans. I just, for my head's sake, I really don't want to I don't have fans. I am just one of you. I am just a fan. I'm going to the Star Trek convention in Las Vegas. I will be in San Diego for San Diego Comic-Con, and I will be traveling around to other cons. I could do a meetup if you're here in the Bay Area. Yeah, anytime. I would love to meet every single one of you if I could. Go to your house, shake your hand, give you a man hug or a woman hug, if I have permission and we signed everything in triplicate. And I would love to meet all of you. High five is good. That'll work too. Fist bump. Catherine, thank you. Matthias Hernandino. I've said that 3 different times now. $5. Good female characters. Ripley, Sarah Connor. Sarah Connor in Terminator 2, and the Sarah Connor Chronicles with Lena Headey, right? Who plays Cersei. Great, underrated show. 79, 84 respectively. New SJW females like Rey, Doctor Who, Arya don't hold a candle to them. And the Arya thing has to be pointed out because there was a lot of people calling her a Mary Sue, and then there was a lot of clapback for that. There needs to be clarification with that. Arya is not overall a Mary Sue. Arya is a character that was built up from scratch, flawed, been through just horrors. She's a very tragic character. This little girl who didn't want to do little girl things, and we like that. Okay, we always, every dude likes that in a girl, by the way. And what happened was her story was cut short. They again rushed the end of her story, and she has Mary Sue-ish tendencies. I still love her as a character. The buildup was perfect. The writers did her no justice. It is not Maisie Williams' fault, who has done as a kid actor, just phenomenal job. Phenomenal, unforgettable job. Dan and Dave are to blame what happened to Arya. Because honestly, I haven't liked her. I mean, I wanted to love that scene with the phrase because and it just felt like it's time for her to get revenge on the phrase. So let's get revenge on the phrase and forget, things on this show didn't perfectly make sense, but they used to feel like they made sense. And now Euron building 1,000 ships. The Iron Islands have little to no trees. How did they do that? Well, people go, well, it was just off screen. No. Game of Thrones is different from Lord of the Rings because it explained that stuff. They talked about how they paid for stuff and resources and not being able to feed somebody. That's the difference between Lord of the Rings. That difference looks like a waste of effing time if you forget about it. They forgot about it with Euron. Now with Arya, how did she? I mean, just how? How do you cook a couple pies like that and nobody notice? And like, did she clear out the kitchen? And I mean, when did Arya's a tomboy? How does she know how to bake? Baking a pie, especially like a meat pie, not an easy, it's not something you could do. And then were the ovens big enough? I mean, like, come on. And they probably were, but Game of Thrones would normally explain that. And what they did was they put in another scene that belonged to somebody else and it didn't fit. And that's why everything feels off since season 4, because it's completely off. Okay, I'm going to get to the chat. A girl has baking abilities. Yes, a girl will bake now. A girl needs a rolling pin. Which 3 characters have been the most painful watching D&D destroy for you? Nicole Krantz, Arya, the Hound, and Jamie. Sansa, I just don't like in the books, and I don't like in the show. And but the thing is, I'm starting to like her in the books. Right now in the books, she is learning from Littlefinger. She is learning everything from Littlefinger, and she's starting, she was always that dumb little girl, right? Well, she's just acting it, but we're supposed to think she's still being the dumb little girl because we can get in her head, but she is picking up everything Littlefinger is doing. And yeah, she's doing something that'll probably, I'm guessing, will get Littlefinger killed, and I think it's on purpose, and it's actually pretty brilliant. But with Jaime's character, why Jaime's character was destroyed. Jaime doesn't go back to Cersei. Remember when he went back to Cersei? No. Jaime has a specific arc that he is on right now, and it is a true redemption arc. The only thing Jaime cares about right now in the books is honor. He is still in the Riverlands, and that oath he made to Catelyn Stark, like, I'm not going to take up arms against Starks and Tullys, that means something to him. And he is crushed when he's presented with the fact that he might have to take up arms against the Tullys. He is just like, and he's at the point of returning to old Jaime, and he's tired of, ever since he was the Kingslayer. He hates being called the Kingslayer. He hates the stain on his honor. He loved being the King's Guard. He got knighted by the Sword of the Dawn. I mean, it was like he was like on the rise, and now he's just like this foul creature that people hate, and it bugs the shit out of him. And he wants his honor back, and he's going to do anything to get his honor back. He would not go back to Cersei. It's just so out of character. So I suspect him to, I mean, we've already seen Sam crying again. Sam sitting in a pool crying. This is Sam the Slayer, and he was crying at the Battle of Winterfell. The Hound was cowardly at the Battle of Winterfell. I don't know what my favorite character Tormund was doing, because I couldn't see anything. Brienne of Tarth, I was finally going to get to see her in like a melee battle. I was about to see one of the best fighters in Westeros. Didn't see a damn thing. Didn't get to see her fight. We got one little 2-second scene. Yeah. It go back and watch it again. It's not as good as you thought it was. And all the men were pretty damn useless. Jon was effing useless. Jon Snow. They brought him back from the dead to do nothing. So I fully suspect that the Azor Ahai prophecy is still in play. All right, because they mentioned it in the show. It is still in play. I know your theories. I've heard them. One might be completely right, and again, that's maybe how the book ends, and it's stupid as hell. if it's done in 3 episodes. It needs 2 seasons to build up. My favorite part is, thank you, Rick B, for the $5 super chat. I appreciate the donation. I don't know. I mean, I'll mess up a name on the book. I will confuse things, but I've read the books multiple times. I've watched the show multiple times. Season 7, granted, is the season I've seen the least, but I've watched each season minimum 4 times each until season 7, which I only saw twice. I don't even know. I bought it on Blu-ray, and it's still in the plastic. Total habit buy. See, Hypnosis. Free Fly B, $8.03. That is great. 803. Do the SJWs realize that it is based on the Middle effing Ages? No, they don't. They don't care. They don't care. The answer is, it's a fantasy. You can do anything you want. Well, the thing is, you need to ground the fantasy in some sort of reality, and that way you buy the fact that there's dragons. Otherwise, it's like a Disney fantasy. It's a little elves singing and, dragons flying, and they talk and they're friendly. No, there's got to be some grounding in reality. George is a huge history buff. He mixes in, I love how he mixes in Greek, Roman, the War of the Roses, just everything. And you know what? And it also makes you curious about that stuff. Like, who is this based on? And who is this character based on? And that's the genius of it. I know I've heard every criticism. I've had it levied at me. Game of Thrones is basic now. It's for normies and da-da-da-da. Well, the show, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. The books, no, I think people who are like deep into the books are still hardcore nerds. There's plenty of sites out there. There's the Wiki of Ice and Fire. There's a bunch of forums. Of course, there's the Free Folk Reddit. There's a bunch of by the way, Free Folk Reddit, if you're watching, you guys are being a bunch of fracking kneelers right now with these memes going, we should just be grateful for what we should have got. We should stop complaining. Dude, take that to the regular Game of Thrones Reddit. Kneeler. Dark Shamrock 57 for 99 cents. Thank you, Dark Shamrock. That's awesome. That's brilliant. Thank you so much for the donation. Brother Malachi. Hey, don't knock elves. ElfQuest and some D&D elves, Drizzt, have savage, are savage. Oh, dude, ElfQuest is savage. I'm not dissing elves. I'm talking about like Disney elves. No. Dark elves are like, dude, even Hellboy 2. Those are brilliant. No, I totally agree with you. Aren't they ending ElfQuest finally? It's one of the longest running independent comics. I thought I heard something about them ending it. Donna C, I am still pissed they dropped Lady Stoneheart from the show. Love that storyline in the books. Donna C, I totally agree. The impact from the prologue chapter at the end of, this is okay. I'm going to ruin a little bit of something, but I mean, if you're not going to read the books, it doesn't ruin too much. But it's a great example of how George satisfies you while still subverting your expectations. So at the end of book 3, the Red Wedding happens. And you're just reeling from that. And George understands as a reader, you need a win. Okay. We just took from you. You just took a huge loss. These characters were reading, and plus he was foreshadowing it. So you're reading it knowing, oh my God, this is going to happen. Oh, it happened. That's what watching the rest of this season is going to be, by the way. And I'm glad I don't care anymore. I fully predict everybody's going to do stupid things and die. And it's going to be completely out of character and effing dumb. And I promise you, another dragon dying, it will be dumb AF. So I digress. So at the end of the Red Wedding, we have a prologue chapter with a Frey. And a Frey has to go pay a ransom. to the Brotherhood Without Banners. One of the Freys got kidnapped, and getting kidnapped is kind of normal in this world, by the way. They don't do it in the show, but like family members get kidnapped so much that they always set aside a certain amount of money to go pay the ransom for the family members, and then they shame that family member for the rest of his life for getting, kidnapped. So a Frey got kidnapped. The Frey family is huge, by the way, huge, huge, huge. So one of the Freys has to go and pay the ransom. So he gets called out, and it turns out it was the Brotherhood Without Banners, and they screwed him over. And that Frey who got kidnapped got killed, and then they kill the Frey who pays the ransom. Who does the killing? Well, it's Lady Stoneheart. Who's Lady Stoneheart? That I won't tell you. But it's a great character. And the fact that they kept this character out, and I think this character will factor into Jon Snow's resurrection, maybe. I think it'd be great if this character did, if she did. I'm pretty sure everybody knows who Lady Stoneheart is nowadays. It's not hard to figure out. But leaving her out of the show was dumb. It would have been easy to keep her in. Easy. And you know what their excuse was, Donna? They didn't want to have too many undead people. They didn't want to have too many people back from the dead. Well, they forgot about Beric, and you actually trade one for the other. So that's the dumbest excuse I've ever heard. But then it's Dan and Dave. We are currently at 20 minutes till. We're going to go for 15 more minutes, folks. I expect nothing out of this episode other than a couple stupid deaths, some setup. It's so effing predictable. I don't want to ruin it for anybody. But I'll just say Cersei's not your big bad. For all those people going, Cersei was the big bad, you weren't paying attention. Cersei's not the big bad. She's not. She'll get dispatched this episode, next episode. She's not making maybe she makes it to episode 6 because they're long, but she won't be a threat much longer. I don't think she'll ever truly be a threat. She's gonna probably catch him by surprise, and then she'll be done. And then we'll probably have they're setting up Jon and Dany to and yeah, so I think they're actually going to go through with that with 3 episodes left. They're going to have Jon and Dany going at it with 3 episodes left. So that not only did they rush through them to boat sex, I mean, because do you guys feel any connection between those two? Any chemistry between Kit Harington? Freaking Daenerys has more chemistry with Tyrion than what she does with Kit Harington. So I'm sure there could have been chemistry, but again, they rushed it. And so like all of a sudden they just got together and they bent the knee and then they fought and then they're going to betray each other with 3 episodes left. Oh boy, I am so shocked. But Twitter will blow up. There'll be GIFs all over Twitter. It'll and people will be OMG, and people who watch like 10 minutes of the episode so they can just talk to their friends. And it was what did my heart good. So I subscribed to a pretty normie channel because my co-host John worked with him for a little while. Not a bad guy or anything. It's just stuff I'm not into. It's Rob has a podcast and he covers like Big Brother and stuff. But John used to work for him. So I subscribed to him and I stay subscribed. I didn't unsubscribe from him. And I guess he's got a huge podcast. He's like got a massive podcast. He makes a ton of money covering that Big Brother stuff. So like before we poo-poo it, I mean, there's an audience for it. I'm not into it, but it's really normie stuff. And if you like it as a guilty pleasure, good for you. I like some crappy stuff too. But I digress. He covers Game of Thrones sometimes. And he's like Mr. Normie. So I was fully expecting him to be like Collider going, oh my God, that was the greatest episode ever. That Arya coming out, Slay Queen, go girl. No, he was like, that sucked. And I was like, you have my respect. Rob has a podcast. So good for him. And I guess I had him misjudged. I had him misjudged. So I truly apologize, even though he looks like a total normie. At least he was honest with his audience. And that's probably why he makes a lot of money. So good for him. Collider. Oh my God. The Arya Strong Girl. That was great. Best scene ever. Oh, the Night King was never the big bad guy. And then they blame the fans. Like, I think a lot of fans are upset that their theories were wrong, and fans just got to readjust their theories. Somebody said that on Collider. I wanted to throw something at my screen. Then I realized, why blame my screen for Collider being stupid? Okay. Okay. I'm going to get to the chat. No more monologuing. Let's get to the super chats. Donna C, thank you again for the $4.99. Good to see you. Mr. Chuck Nasty for $5. Blood elves from the World of Warcraft are my favorite elves. World of Warcraft is like a story I'd love to read. I just don't want to play it. And it's not that I have any problem with it. I just know that I got incredibly, massively hooked on Diablo 2 to where it almost interfered with my life. So I would have probably been like the guy from South Park. And that's why I just have to stay away from that. I'm horrible at video games, but there's a couple I got horribly addicted to and pretty good at, which was City of Heroes and Diablo 2, and apparently you can play City of Heroes again. Oh, I got to stay away from that though, but maybe not. Yeah, you might start seeing gameplay on Nerdrotic Live if I start City Heroes. Matthias Hernandino, $5. Martin confirmed separate Long Night and Targaryen history prequels. And fuck. Okay, these are for the show. Okay, I just thought his books. Hardcore fans won't watch. They don't think the normies will. Oh, the normies will. I think the normies will absolutely eat that stuff up like normie nip. Like catnip, but normie nip. Normie nip is Ed Sheeran, who guested on Game of Thrones. White socks, button-up shirts. I mean, there's no judgment against anybody who wears that stuff. It's just, I can't wear white because I just get it dirty. I'm always doing something. But I don't wear white socks, or tidy whities. I think the normies will eat it up. Yes. Double fist that stuff. Book fans will peek in. I'll probably peek in, but it'll probably be lame as hell. If it's not, I'll say I'm wrong. I like the history books. I just wish they came out after he finished the books. When I found out he actually wrote Fire and Blood, I thought he was just like an editor on it. No, but he was physically writing the book. I lost my mind. I was like, what? Get your ass working on Winds of Winter. But now I know why he's not. He doesn't want Dan and Dave anywhere near it. Pert, £2. Tonight's episode is apparently Shakespearean. Oh, so we'll get some betrayals like Jon and Dany. Tyrion. They have been foreshadowing a Tyrion betrayal since last season. He's been an idiot. I always thought Tyrion would survive. If you saw my earlier videos, I'm like, yeah, Tyrion. I want Tyrion on a throne. I want him to survive. This is no longer Tyrion. And Tyrion technically was supposed to be the villain at one point, but he's not. What's he done? I mean, like, I'm poor Peter Dinklage, who's put in a brilliant performance. And I feel bad for the actors who put in great performances and their legacy is getting tarnished right now. Poor Kit Harington. This is the only role he's going to get. He's pretty, but he's not the best actor in the world. He's pretty to the ladies. I mean, I'm not into men or anything, but I hear what my wife says about him. Smoochy lips, she says. Armchair Warlord, $2. Thanks for the shout out. Did you get my email? Armchair Warlord, was it the Game of Thrones email? Yes. Did you send it yesterday? Then it's yes. If you sent one today, I haven't read my emails today. Retro Game Bloke for £2. By the way, Armchair Warlord, anytime. Whoa, what was that? My whole screen just went boop, boop. That's not good. There, it's doing it again. Did you guys catch that? I think HBO's coming to get me. My camera turned off too. That was weird. Power surge, maybe? I don't know. Armchair Warlord, I'll always shout you out, and I'll read your email later. I love the books, hated the zombie bear. Retro Game Bloke, 2 pounds. Honestly, I didn't know the behind the scenes. I didn't like the zombie bear, but when I saw Angry Joe's review, and then he showed Dan and Dave talking about the zombie bear, and that's what they wanted for 4 seasons, and they chose that instead of Ghost. We should know right there. These are just basic dude bros. They're like, bruh, zombie bear, let's go drinking some brews, get some Betties, and then we'll write like some Game of Thrones, bro. Right. $25, 333 Omega. Glad to see a fellow nerd of my generation. I'm 48. Hail to the old man. Keeping the flame alive. Love your channel. Keep up the good work. Would love to discuss old school comics and sci-fi sometime. Let's do it. Anytime, man. Email me, Gary@nerdrotic.com. It takes me a minute. I usually get to them within 24, 48 hours. I'm still getting to old ones from when I was traveling, which, I mean, it was great, but it put a huge interrupter in my life. Okay, 5 more minutes, folks. Let's get to the chat. They call me Zombie Bear in bed, says Joseph Clark. Joseph Clark for the win. HBO Black Ops. Did you see the screen blink, or was that just an acid flashback? Because I saw my camera light go out. It's just a ghost saying hi. Oh, okay, that's cool. That was awfully weird. I've never seen my computer do that and not like completely cut out the stream. It's the curse of Doomcock. Yeah. Big Brother is watching. That was creepy. Yeah, it just like it went. It was like a weird wave across my. Alpha Omega, $5. Do you ever check your DMs? God damn it! Love your channel. I check my DMs. Okay, yeah, folks, do not DM me on the Facebook page. I don't see those DMs. There's a complication with them, and I can't see them. I check my DMs on Twitter as much as I can. I'm actually not on Twitter that much. I limit myself to 30 minutes a day. I check my email every day, 3 times a day. So that's the best place to get a hold of me is Gary@nerdrotic.com. I do check my DMs. My Facebook DMs I check as well. It takes me a while to get through those. I'm new to this. I'm new to getting this much attention, and Mrs. Nerdrotic is helping me. I am going to be getting some help because I definitely need it. There's no way I can get back to everybody. And if you guys took the time to get to me, I have to get back to you. So maybe foregoing some sleep is probably what I'm going to have to do to get caught up, but keep it coming. I will get to you. And thank you for taking the time to write me a note, to write a comment. I appreciate all of it. And I wish I could read fast enough and comprehend to get through it all. I really do. But thank you. Alpha Omega, yes, I do. But yeah, again, Gary@nerdrotic.com. Bionic Belly Button, $5. Nerdrotic loved season 8, episode 3. I see what you're doing. Okay, wait, let me get the quote right. Nerdrotic love season 8, episode 3 of Game of Thrones. The only time I've ever heard that. All in good fun. Love the pre-shows. You're welcome. You want to isolate it? I loved season 8, episode 3. Best episode ever. Arya, Slay Queen, expectations subverted in a Rian Johnson style. Oh my God, Last Jedi, greatest movie ever. Oh, you know what I love about these movies is I don't need to watch them all. I can read my phone and watch these dumb movies. BFFs. OMG. Arya for the win. That's right. It's like he's reading a hostage note. Yes. I'm going to blink twice. Please help me. Slay Queen. Oh, there's they're gonna do it. Muzaka, they're gonna Matsuka, they are going to do it. They are going to slay a queen. So people on Tumblr and IO9 can go, slay queen. They're gonna do it. 2 minutes, folks. And then we're going to jump over. I already have the live stream set up. I'm going to make it public right after I'm done here. So please jump over there. Doomcock will be joining me. I think the episode's longer. So 15 minutes after the episode airs is when we go live. It says 7:35, but it'll be 15 minutes after the episode airs. I will have a huge rant after this season. Dark Angel Ire. I will too. I have I don't plan my rants. I don't write, by the way, I don't write my videos. This is everything is off the cuff. But I can imagine if, okay, let's just say there's a betrayal and one of two things is going to happen, folks. One of two things is going to happen. After Cersei dies, because she will die, John and Dany are going to betray each other, and one of them's going to die. And it'll be stupid. It'll be stupid as fuck. And I will be pissed. And the rest of you will be pissed. See, I won't be as pissed because I'm already pretty pissed. And I'm just riding this out. I'm going to watch the stupidity unfold. I'm just, you know what? The spell has been lifted. I've been watching a stupid show and I feel like an idiot. So I'm going to take it out on them a little bit. We got another super chat here. Bionic belly button. Thank you again for the super chat. Danny M, $2. What do you think Stannis's character? What do you think Stannis's character in the show? Stannis is in the show? He's dead. Are they bringing him back? How? It must be a flashback. It has to be a flashback. Unless Brienne didn't kill him and he's been healing up there for a couple of years. That would be dumb. That would be really dumb. It must be a flashback. I heard there's going to be a flashback this season. So it's got to be that. Brother Malachi, $2. Will Exozone be on your channel or Overlord DVDs? Thank you for the $2. It'll be on my channel. I do a live stream schedule on my website. It's been kind of willy-nilly lately, but I'll get a little tighter with it. But if you go to nerdrotic.com, look to the right, there's a live stream schedule. I will start sharing it on YouTube. Okay, everybody, you go watch the episode. Get going. It's 5:56. It's 4 minutes till the episode starts. Let's rip it to shreds. And if it's great, I will say, wow, they won me back. All the White Walkers and the Night King came back and it totally made sense. I will say that if it happens, but if it doesn't, expect Dragonfire. Love you all. And remember, here on Nerdrotic Live, we do not kneel.